I want to ask you something. A lone, scarred man interrupts a group of bandits. What year is it right now? The bandit leader just laughs. It's the year 1500. Why? The stranger is lost in thought, so only 5 years passed. Suddenly, another bandit sneaks up and attacks him. Bad idea, buddy. The man's eyes glow a demonic red. In a flash, he rips through all of them. It's a one-sided massacre, a whirlwind of unrelenting violence. So, how did our dude here become so OP? To understand the monster, we have to go back 5 years. To the day he lost everything. 5 years ago, things were different. This was Van, and this was his wedding day. He was marrying Linda, the woman who saved him. You see, since ancient times, the world's been running on magic system called runecraft. But our boy Van, he got the short end of the stick, born with the Asura Rune, a hated rune that is said to bring only destruction to anyone who gets near it. He'd spent his whole life being called a monster. But this village, Linda's family, they were the first to ever call him family. As they stand before everyone, they exchange their vows, promising a future filled with so much happiness. But that future was never meant to be. Just as they seal their vows with a kiss, a mysterious hooded figure appears, scoffing at their happiness. I'm getting teary-eyed, he cackles. And then, without warning, boom, a massive explosion of green energy obliterates the village. Van could only watch in horror as the villain grabs a mortally wounded Linda. Powerless, helpless. But the villain wasn't done. He was after the true destruction of the Asura Rune. Van is captured and dragged into a pocket dimension, a personal hell. In this space, time is all wonky. 5 years in the real world was 1,000 years in this dimension. A millennium of suffering. The despair nearly broke him, but Linda's memory twisted that despair into pure, white-hot rage. Fueled by nothing but vengeance, he grinded for centuries. His only goal was to escape and kill the man who took everything. And after 1,000 years, he finally broke free. Which brings us back to now. With 1,000 years of rage fueling him, Van has just finished his warm-up, the first step on his path of revenge. The lone survivor can only scream in absolute terror at the horrific sight. Van calmly turns to the terrified man and says, "Hey, I want to ask you something." "Alright folks, welcome to the continent of Attoon. Try to stick with me and maybe you won't get killed. For ages, kingdoms here have been at war, all thanks to the incredible power of something called runecraft. But like any good fantasy world, there is always one kingdom that basically rules them all. And that, my friends, is the ridiculously evil-looking Zoe Kingdom. These guys have been running the show for years with an army that looks like it crawled straight out of a nightmare. So this lowlife is wearing robes of sorcerers for the royal family of Zoe Kingdom?" Van questions. And the bandit, looking like he just lost a fight with a lawnmower, gives a thumbs up. "Of course. I'm serious, brother. Yeah, you look super trustworthy. Oh, and did I mention this guy has been hanging upside down from a tree this whole time?" Our boy Van just calmly presses him for details. So the upside-down dude starts spilling the tea. About 5 years back, this guy Kisarak came in with a job for his bandit leader in Dagiol. This creepy sorcerer was offering a pile of cash to find a person and, casually wipe out a few villages. They had no idea the guy was royalty from the Zoe Kingdom, but for that kind of money, they signed up immediately. I mean, they are bandits. They burned the villages down and were literally laughing about how much work it was to burn all the bodies. Real classy. He says after the job was done, the sorcerer with the purple head paid them and left without any trouble. A nice, clean transaction. But Van gets real specific. Among the corpses, was there a girl with short orange hair? The bandit's eyes go wide. Yes, there was. Then this moron starts laughing about what a shame it was, saying she was quite pretty and would have fetched a high price as a slave. "Wait, how'd you know about that?" the bandit asks. "Bad question, my friend. A very, very bad question." The scene shifts to the Dagiol mountain hideout. Looks less like a fortress and more like a giant bandit treehouse. Inside, it's just a regular Tuesday for these guys, herding captured villagers and threatening to cut their ankles. Other bandits are checking out their captives like produce at a market. The feisty ones sell for a better price. How charming. At one of the gates, there's a knock. Some guy shows up. "Hey, I've got some drinks, so open it quickly." He smiles. The gatekeeper asks where he's been all day. Surprise! It's Van. He punches the guard's head clean through the wooden gate. Naturally, the other bandits are not too happy about this. The welcome party immediately swarms him. He tells one guy to shut up before punching a hole straight through his torso, which then just explodes. The remaining bandits just stare in shock as our boy calmly walks towards them, dragging their fallen comrades with him. He tosses the corpse of their friend at their feet. "Where is your leader? Let's talk. I have something to ask." Absolutely no chill, this one. Enraged, the bandits charge him, questioning his sanity for challenging them on their home turf. But a massive, muscular man with white hair steps forward, ordering his men to stand down. It's Dagiol, the bandit leader. He recognizes our boy's power, telling his men to back off because he is a sorcerer just like him. Dagiol finally steps up. "Now what do you want from me, young sorcerer?" Van gets straight to the point, asking about the job they took 5 years ago from the Zoe Kingdom. Dagiol smirks, impressed he figured all that out. So, what is it you want? Our boy points right at him. Tell me where that bastard Kisarak is. Then I'll spare you all. Seems like a good deal, right? Wrong. Dagiol's expression turns sinister, his eyes glowing red. Oh, I'll tell you. I'll tell your corpse, that is. He roars, lunging forward in a crackle of blue energy. So much for a peaceful negotiation. He smashes into our boy with a devastating lightning-infused blow that creates a massive shockwave. Dagiol transforms, his arms and legs covered in sharp blades. He says he could feel the killing intent all along. You will die here today. His power is the Blade Rune, which lets him arm his entire body with sharp blades. He's a walking, talking blender. But Van gets up from the rubble, completely unfazed. Yeah, as expected, talking was not going to work, right? He says, his eyes glowing red. Dagiol charges in for the kill, but our boy meets his bladed fist head-on with his own bare fist. Their fists collide. Dagiol spits blood, his bladed arm shattering as he screams in total disbelief. Ouch. Absolutely enraged, Dagiol swings his other arm with everything he has, screaming, die. He unleashes a massive new attack, forming a storm of crystal shards. A sorcerer is still a sorcerer. I'm done going easy on you. He rains the blades down, expecting to tear his opponent into a million little pieces. Dagiol is stunned. As the dust settles, our boy is not only standing, he is walking forward, taking every single hit without flinching. Horrified, Dagiol screams, "Don't you know pain, you bastard?" Van just scoffs, "Stop making me laugh." He continues to power through the attack, now covered in a terrifying dark aura. This mere itch can't be called pain. Such an edgelord. Panicked, Dagiol puts everything he has left into one final gigantic blade attack. This is his last shot. Screaming in defiance, Dagiol unleashes his final, desperate attack. How about this? But our guy just keeps walking. He thinks that even if it peels his skin off, he can just shut off his nerves. Casual psycho behavior. With glowing red eyes, he dismisses the entire attack with a single word, shallow. He clenches a fist wreathed in dark energy, thinking this level of pain is absolutely nothing. His mind flashes back to a hellish landscape he calls the Swamp of Pain. And folks, it looks exactly as fun as it sounds. It's a horrifying abyss made of countless screaming, tormented faces. Writer, we get it, he has trauma. Compared to that, Dagiol's attack is still just shallow. Van throws a single punch. The impact is catastrophic. The fist meets the crystal storm and pure power erupts, shattering absolutely everything. Dagiol's face is a mask of pure shock as his entire body is blown apart by the force. The shockwave obliterates him, turning into a massive beam of destructive energy that carves through the mountain. From miles away, a pillar of light is seen blasting out of the mountain. Someone call the landlord. In the aftermath, our guy stands amidst the rubble and lets out a sigh of relief, like he just finished a light workout. His dark aura fades as he turns to the terrified survivors. Now then, shall we pick up where we left off? The remaining bandits can only stare in absolute horror, completely frozen in place. I do not blame them one bit. Sometime later, the ground is soaked in blood, covered with the butchered corpses of the bandits. The talk did not go well for them. After a brutal interrogation, the last survivor confirms it. Kisarak is in the Nordia kingdom. The broken man pleads, "Will you spare me as promised?" Our hero plays dumb. Promise? Did I? He suddenly bursts out laughing. It's a joke. The bandit forces a nervous chuckle along with him. But as the man tries to leave, his head is crushed in an instant. "Sparing you was the joke," he mutters. His eyes glow red as he asks the dead man, "What were you laughing at?" Yikes. This guy needs help. He knows he cannot just trust the word of bandits. He will have to go meet that bastard Kisarak and confirm it himself. He looks to the sky as if speaking to his lost loved ones. So, Linda, uncle, aunt, please wait a bit longer. As a small offering for them, he reveals a grotesque monument he constructed from the bodies of the bandits that attacked them 5 years ago. He stares at the gruesome display, holding a torch. Our revenge is just starting. With a flick of his wrist, he tosses the torch behind him, setting the entire bloody scene ablaze. His path is set. Let's go to Nordia Kingdom first. The revenge tour continues, folks. First stop on the revenge tour, folks, the Nordia Kingdom. It's a bustling city full of, let's just say, very unique fashion choices. But elsewhere, someone's having a much, much worse day. Yeah, see, our boy doesn't like it when you don't answer his questions. The guy finally spills the beans, gasping out a name. Anna Dalton, that woman, knows. Our sorcerer chides him. See, I told you we should have just talked from the beginning. With the info secured, he casually strolls away from the carnage. Thanks for the info. He's got a new target, and he needs to find this Anna Dalton right now. Because if he doesn't, what happened yesterday could definitely happen again. And what happened yesterday? Oh, just a casual, world-breaking explosion of chaotic energy. A terrifying scream echoes from the middle of it all. Turns out, that was our boy's magic power going completely out of control. He's super confused. This has literally never happened before. Alright, quick lore dump. Magic power fills the universe, like cosmic dust. People who can store that dust in their bodies to do cool stuff are called sorcerers. Basically, a sorcerer's body is just a fragile meat container for immense power. So if that power goes wild inside them, they go pop. He realizes his body is about to explode like a firecracker. He has to seal it, and he has to do it now. It's his only option. Focusing with everything he's got, he starts wrestling the energy back into its cage. The power surges, not wanting to be contained. But slowly, painstakingly, the raging pillar of light begins to shrink. He collapses, panting and exhausted. The immediate danger is over. Ha, I almost died. Yeah, you think? Back in the present, he's basically nerfed himself. Most of his magic is sealed away. He needs to find out what caused that rampage before his entire body becomes a charcoal briquette. Until then, he's stuck in low power mode. Just then, a giant figure shows himself in front of our boy. What is Goliath doing over here? He looks up. Can you get out of the way? You're blocking the sun. The human bulldozer tells him to beat it. Madam Anna Dalton is using this place. Go back. Wait, did he say Anna Dalton? A slow smile spreads across his face. Ah, is that so? You should have told me I found the right place. Boom! He punches a hole clean through his torso like he's made of paper. His face and his scream are synced in pure terror. The full horror bundle. He doesn't even look back. Just stay there and get some sleep. He steps into what looks like a massive, steamy bathhouse. 3 guys immediately try to block his path, telling him to get lost. He just cracks his knuckles. I'm looking for a mercenary named Kesarak. A voice calls out. To think someone would dare say his name? Brat, you're going to die here. Our sorcerer is not impressed. Seeing your reaction, I found the right person. She just scoffs and gives an order to her men. Rip that little punk's mouth off and bring it to me. This must be Anna Dalton, the black market's #1 information broker. Yes, her 3 goons respond and their bodies start glowing with angry purple energy. Oh boy, here we go. It's transformation time. Their flesh and bones start twisting into something way less human. With a final low growl, the process is complete. Say hello to 3 massive 5-eyed werewolf beasts. Totally normal. The beasts immediately launch themselves right at our sorcerer. He just sighs, red energy swirling around him. Seriously, I wanted to resolve this through conversation. Swipe. He dodges a claw matrix style and counters with a punch. Bam. He lands a solid blow, sending the monster flying. Every single time, he grumbles, while wiping out her entire security detail. He moves with blinding speed, a determined glare on his face. Bro turned on speedrun mode. He smashes one of the werewolves with a powerful kick, and sends the other flying into a wall with a spinning hook kick. He lands, and his feet have turned into demonic bird talons. Smoke billows from his hands as he readies himself for round 2. Yum, violence. And what do you know? 2 more werewolves appear from the shadows, because why not? Without missing a beat, he's back on the attack. He shoots straight up like a rocket, blasting off like NASA itself funded him. His fist connects like a cannonball from a pirate ship. The werewolves were hit like bargain bin mannequins during a clearance sale. Limbs everywhere. He actually managed to carve a chunky opening into the wall. Open concept living room achieved. He lands perfectly in a superhero pose, the dust settling around the demolished room. Now then, want to have that peaceful conversation now? He asks, standing in the ruins of her establishment. Anna seems impressed. A sorcerer, huh? But what to do? Sir Kesarak isn't here anymore. Anymore? Where did he go? He asks. Anna flips out of the water. Hey punk, I sell information for a living. You gotta pay. News ain't free, punk. How much? He asks. Surprisingly agreeable. She's thrown off. What's with the sensible attitude all of a sudden? He clarifies. Look, I'm not a murderer. They attacked me, so I killed them. I'm willing to pay. She names her price. Information about Sir Kesarak. The total is 10,000 gold. Our boy is shocked. That's a lot of money. You really are crazy. I didn't realize it would be this expensive, he admits. Anna sighs. No money, no info. He stays calm. I just need to pay, right? Wait here. She's intrigued. Oh, you have a plan? She can't help but ask. But why are you looking for him? You look like you want to kill him. Did Sir Kesarak kill your family or something? She presses. The sorcerer turns to leave, his patience clearly gone. Mind your own business. Before I tear that mouth apart. Okay, dude, chill out. As he leaves, Anna just watches him go. How scary, she says with a chilling smile. This woman is a menace. Needing cash fast, our boy heads to Mercenary Street. It's time to start the grind. He gets registered and immediately asks, all right, when does the work start? The registrar explains that rookies have to wait in line. Veterans get first pick of the jobs. He sighs, this might take a while. But hey, a man's gotta pay his info broker debts. He thinks about Anna. He was ready to fight her, but then realized she was hiding some serious power. Smart move not to pick that fight. Just then, a hooded client walks up with a weird request. She needs a mercenary with 0 experience. Well, speak of the devil. The creepy registrar points right at him. That works. This guy just signed up. The woman turns to him. You are? He just crosses his arms. Yeah, I'm the new guy. She removes her hood, revealing a young woman named Leon ATI. My request is simple, just take responsibility for one night. Our boy and the registrar are completely stunned into silence. I mean, what do you even say to that? What a crazy woman, he scoffs. And the registrar misunderstands the whole thing. You should go to a brothel. And guess what? ATI panics and yells. She clarifies that she just needs an escort. A companion. Yes, I see, he says, not stopping. The client tries to get his attention, but he brushes her off, saying he hates crazy employers. He doesn't even care about the compensation. Or does he? Suddenly, a huge mercenary steps in front of ATI. I'll take that job. How much? She answers. The pay is 10,000 gold. Our sorcerer freezes. That's the exact amount of meme coins he needs. The big guy tries to pressure ATI, but she's firm. She can't hire a well-known veteran like him. He grabs her arm aggressively, but she stands her ground, shouting, No, let go of me. As the brute calls her frustrating, a cold voice cuts through the noise. Hey, garbage. The big guy turns around to see our sorcerer standing right behind him. Hands off, he orders. With a furious look, he snarls, Take your hands off my precious employer's precious body, you filthy trash. Oh, so now she's his precious employer. Speaking of precious, let's cut to a burning village where a man is pleading for his son's life. A truly heartwarming start to our story, right? But his killers could not care less. They're already talking about their next job, harvesting organs from the dead, and who's their next target. Surprise, surprise, it's a daughter of the Leon household. Their monstrous leader orders his subordinate to pick the 3 best men for the job. He tells him to hang up this poor guy's body and get moving. You know, just casual workplace stuff. The subordinate is ready to dip, but the leader stops him in his tracks. He immediately starts sweating, asking Sir Merkel if he messed something up. I think you already know the answer, buddy. Merkel just says, it's just that one of these alone doesn't satisfy me. So, I'll dissect you the same way and hang you next to it. It'll be perfect. Artist, my friend, you need to chill. Meanwhile, back in the present, Leona T is absolutely fuming. She slams her fist down on the table with a loud bam. In the middle of the tavern, our boy asks her, What is it? Does the food not suit your taste? And she fires back with, Who could swallow food like this? And stop using a person as a chair. Oh yeah, he's literally sitting on the merc he just beat up. Our guy just gives her this blank stare. Don't tell me you want to try sitting on him? My man has 0 social skills. She completely loses it, screaming, I don't, so just let him go. She sighs. He's a total psycho, but hey, he's strong and nobody knows who he is. He's perfect for the job. He finally gets off his human chair, commenting that it was comfy. What a shame. All right, back to business. He asks her straight up, You hired me for an escort. How far am I taking you? She says it's just to the border of the Yuiana kingdom. Should be a day's journey through the forest. He's not buying it, but why spend 10,000 gold on a simple escort? That's a whole lot of meme coins for a simple walk. He figures she's either a fugitive or some big shot noble's kid. The gears are turning. AT laughs nervously. I'm just the daughter of a wealthy family. My father just worries a lot. Yeah, sure he does. And our boy is looking at her like she just told him, the sky is green. He's not buying a word of it. She gets all defensive. If you're so suspicious, I'll just hire someone else. Suspicious? He says. How could I be so rude to my precious customer? Oh, he's using her own words against her. She's thinking, this little son of a gun, before he asks when they're leaving. The sooner, the better, she says. He immediately stands up. Then let's go now. He says he doesn't want to waste his client's valuable time. AT is completely caught off guard, but she agrees to head out. And so they set off, traveling through the Galso Mountains. Adventure time. Deep in the forest, the journey seems to be going suspiciously smoothly. He figures they're about halfway there and AT agrees. She even thinks to herself that maybe she didn't need a mercenary after all. Famous last words, my friend. Famous last words. Suddenly, he throws his arm out to stop her. Hold it. She asks what's wrong, but he just shushes her. The mood just got serious. His expression darkens. I feel it. That's definitely mana. Then he hears it. Footsteps. Sprinting right at them. Fast. He's counting them in his head. 3? No, wait, 4 of them. And one of them is giving off some seriously bad vibes. The boss of the group, no doubt. Nope, peeking's a bad habit. An energy blast explodes right in front of him. Kaboom. Our sorcerer is caught right in the middle of the blinding light. The attackers land, and their leader gives the order. She's the Leon family's daughter. Capture her alive. Our boy whispers, this is just a warning. The real one is right on top of them. Classic ninja move. He reacts instantly, unleashing a wave of force that knocks them all back. But one attacker breaks through, lunging straight for AT. Nope, our boy is faster, blocking the strike with his arms. Clang! He follows up with a massive kick that sends the assassin flying. The assassin coughs, totally stunned by the sheer force of that hit. That kick was so powerful it sent both the attacker and Leon tumbling down a cliffside. With AT safely out of the way for a moment, he turns to face the remaining two. "Ma'am," he calls out, his hands glowing with dark energy. "From this moment on, under no circumstances, step out from behind me." Okay, that was a pretty cool hero line, I'll give him that. AT is terrified, but she trusts him and quickly agrees. He turns to the assassins. "Who the heck are you? Are you guys bandits?" One of them draws a sword. "Leave the woman and back away quietly, and we'll let you go." Our boy makes a counteroffer. "If you pay me 10,000 gold, I'll just leave." The assassin just calls him a fool. And in a flash, he closes the distance between them. It's go time. He unleashes a blindingly fast flurry of punches and kicks. It's a total beatdown. His arms become a whirlwind of destruction, hammering into his opponents again and again. He lands, leaving the two assassins standing there completely dazed. The lead attacker scoffs. "I was on edge thinking you might be a runecaster, but you're just a brat. I was being careful just in case, but that was needless." "Oh, you're gonna regret saying that." Our protagonist just says, "I didn't think you'd be this stupid." Suddenly, the two assassins he just pummeled start to twitch, and then their bodies just erupt in an explosion of blood and bone. Pop. He clenches his fist. The warm-up is over, folks. Then he launches himself forward, aiming a devastating punch straight at the ground. With one punch, the ground itself explodes in a massive shockwave of rock and red energy. The force of that blow travels through the earth like a glowing red torpedo homing in on its target. It hits its mark, causing a massive violent explosion that lights up the entire forest clearing. When the dust settles, all that's left of the assassins is a bloody crater and their legs. Seriously, artist. Our protagonist rises, brushing himself off with a sigh. What a bunch of clowns. And I just stares in disbelief, completely stunned. She's thinking, he looks younger than me. How is he this strong? She watches him, thinking that if her father could see this, he'd be both shocked and absolutely thrilled. Suddenly, he senses something else. He knows runecasters often gauge each other's mana to size them up. He turns to face the hidden enemy. "You stayed hidden so long I thought you ran." Finally, the last one shows himself. The monstrous creature emerges from the shadows, confused. "You're just a kid, so how do you have mana on par with mine? I should dissect you first, since a caster like you must have splendid organs." And we get a terrifying close-up of his face. A single cyclops eye and a mouth full of razor-sharp teeth. Yeah, that's nightmare fuel. This is Merkel, the mad anatomist, a notorious gang leader wanted for just about every crime in the book. Merkel makes an offer. Hand over the girl. Our hero's response? Yeah, get lost. Enraged, Merkel snarls, then die, and starts charging up a massive ball of destructive red energy. As the attack powers up, our boy calmly talks to AT. "Ma'am." She jumps, startled. "Yes?" He looks at her with this intense, all-knowing gaze. "About you being an ordinary merchant's daughter, that was a lie, right?" AT completely panics, stammering, that's actually..." But he's not interested. "Save it. I'm not listening." Then he just grabs her by the cloak and yeets her to the side. AT goes flying through the air, screaming in rage, "Hey, you son of a..." But honestly, instead of scary, the creature just looks goofy. He looks like a Dorito with limbs. Meanwhile, our hero sports a calm, determined expression as he faces the massive blast head-on. When the dust settles, the blast has carved a massive trench through the forest, and our hero, he's standing there without a single scratch on him. What a legend. ATI, meanwhile, is having a full-blown meltdown after being thrown. But look at Merkel over there, grinning like he just won the lottery. This dude is seriously unhinged. The monster casually asks if our boy is Adi's bodyguard. This sets ATI off, who screams from off-screen that she is his employer, "You lunatic." And just like that, everything clicks into place for him. This Merkel guy isn't just a brute, he's a sorcerer who's a master of mana. So the goal isn't murder, it's kidnapping. He totally tunes out Adi's yelling because honestly, she's not the real threat here. He turns back to ATI and says he'll let her little lies slide for now. You can imagine how well she takes that news. He cuts her off mid-rant. "Stop arguing. I'm gonna throw you." Adi's face is just a perfect picture of confusion. He grabs her arm and tells her to chill out. "You're not gonna die." Famous last words, my friend. And with a mighty heave, he just yeets her clear across the entire forest. Again, Merkel is not about to let his payday fly away. He blasts off after her like a rocket. But our guy is even faster, teleporting midair to block him. And where do you think you're going? Classic hero line. He immediately unloads a vicious punch right into Merkel's side. Bam! He follows that up with a lightning-fast kick that slams into the monster's arm. And he finishes the combo with a devastating punch straight to the gut. Oof. The mercenary lands like a pro, but Merkel just starts cackling. It looks like those hits did absolutely nothing. He knows every single shot connected, but it felt like he was punching an invisible wall the whole time. Merkel grins, promising to carve him up into little pieces before he finishes the job with ATI. The mad anatomist, as he calls himself, boasts about his power. He's ready to give our boy an electrifying experience. And here comes the lore drop from the writer. Turns out he has a psychokinesis rune. It lets him move stuff with his mind using mana. To demonstrate, Merkel unleashes a massive shockwave of pure power. But our hero just slams his foot down, creating his own shockwave to cancel it out. Easy peasy. The two forces clash in a huge explosion, but the mercenary doesn't even budge. So that's his game. He wraps his body in psychic energy to become a close combat beast. He dodges a huge stomp that shatters the ground and immediately rushes in to attack. He ducks under a wild swing and lands a perfect punch right on Merkel's jaw. But wait, at the very last second, a red energy shield pops up and blocks the hit. So this guy's defense is insane. He can instantly form his energy into a perfect shield. The mercenary steps back. What an annoying power, he thinks. And honestly, we agree. Merkel starts taunting him. He says their mana levels might be similar, but his rune is on a whole different level. We'll see about that. And now we get the classic villain job offer. He says he can pay our boy way more than ATI ever could. Our boy answers plainly, "She's paying me 10,000 gold. Merkel just bursts out laughing. 10,000? We can make that much by raiding just 2 villages. And that's when the mercenary's expression completely changes. Raiding villages? He asks. Merkel proudly lists off his resume. Assassination, kidnapping, robbery, human trafficking. Then he asks if that sounds tempting. My guy, read the room. And slowly, the mercenary's mouth starts to curl into a smile. Merkel thinks he's won him over. I knew it. My judge of character is perfect. You like what you hear, don't you? No, he says. I'm laughing at myself for even wasting my breath on you. I've made up my mind. I'm going to tear you apart until no one can recognize the pieces. He's disgusted with himself for even having a conversation with this piece of trash. Merkel is absolutely furious now. You insolent little whelp. I offer you a great opportunity, but our boy is done talking. He just rushes forward, unleashing a storm of punches. Merkel starts screaming, "What are you doing? I told you you can't break through my shield." But the mercenary doesn't listen. He just keeps pouring on the pressure faster and faster. His fist smashes into the shield, and this time you can see it start to crack. He just keeps punching, each impact creating a bigger and bigger explosion. Boom, boom. And finally, one last punch shatters the shield completely. Merkel can't believe it. The punch lands clean, and all he can say is, "How?" He lets out a horrible scream as blood just pours from his body. The mercenary follows it up with a brutal uppercut that sends the monster flying. Now he's really mad. "You insolent freak," he screams. "I'm not even interested in your organs anymore. This is the price for refusing my offer. Be reduced to dust." And he unleashes his ultimate attack, Psychokinetic Blood Strike. A giant beam of red energy just rips through the landscape, destroying absolutely everything in its path. But Merkel is in total shock. "I'm sure of it," he stammers. "We have similar mana levels. How is this possible?" Because through the blinding light, our hero is just standing there completely unharmed by the blast. "You and I have similar mana levels?" He scoffs. "You idiotic fool." Merkel is completely losing his mind now, terrified by the insane amount of power this guy is hiding. Before he can even finish his next insult, the mercenary cuts him off. That's enough. He issues a simple, terrifying command, "Fall to hell." My goodness, artist, this panel is just chilling. He unleashes his own power, the Asura Rune. This is its first manifested armament, Annihilation Fist. This thing basically deletes matter at a particle level. He immediately launches a super fast barrage of punches. He winds up for one last, final blow. You can see his fist just crackling with dark energy. The punch connects, and Merkel's body starts dissolving into energy as he gets blasted into nothing. He calmly starts wrapping the bandages on his arms. Looking over the absolute mess he made, he says to himself, "Well then, now," and then he just casually demolishes a giant stone pillar with a single punch. Just because he can, I guess. Surrounded by a menacing red aura, he has one last piece of business to take care of. Shall I go and fetch our dear employer? The look on his face says she is in for a crazy time. Alright folks, quick refresher on the magic system. In this world, we've got something called runecraft. It's a power that lets you literally cover your entire body in blades. Or you can even pull some Doctor Strange stuff and mess with space and time. With it, you can tear through the land and slice entire mountains in half. No big deal. Basically, it's a giant middle finger to the laws of physics and whatever gods are watching. But among all these awesome powers, there's one that's basically the most forbidden OP rune in history, the Asura's Rune. And guess who has it? Our boy, the walking disaster magnet himself. A new history is being written, and I bet it's going to be messy. And just like that, after turning the entire forest into his personal punching bag, our boy strolls back to find his client. He finds Atai just chilling and hits her with the most deadpan line ever. "As expected, you're safe, ma'am." Atai is understandably not impressed. She jumps up screaming, "Are you crazy? How could you blow everything away like that?" He just shuts her right up by grabbing her. Personal space is clearly not in his vocabulary. With his crazy red eyes glowing, he gets right in her face. "You're also hiding something from me, aren't you, ma'am?" But then he's immediately over it. "It's fine. I'm not that curious. You're safe. Now give me the money. Startled, she quickly shoves a heavy pouch at him. Here's 10,000 gold. With the loot secured, he just turns and walks away. Mission complete, social interaction over. He pauses for a second, looking back over his shoulder. But ATI totally chickens out. No, it's nothing, she says, watching him leave for good. She thinks to herself that while she'd love his help, she can't drag this unhinged kid into her family's war. It's a shame, but there's no helping it, she decides, heading back to deal with her own family drama. Meanwhile, our protagonist returns to Anna Dalton's lair. He just casually tosses the bag of gold on the floor like it's pocket change. Anna Dalton, lounging on her throne like a queen, looks impressed. Wow, I knew you had some backing. Hurry and tell me the promised info, he demands. But Anna has a condition. Sure, but I'll only take half the money. His eyes narrow. What? You don't just offer this guy a discount. Anna sighs, admitting she failed to track down sorcerer. Apparently the guy is a ghost. However, she adds with a sly smile, I will tell you about him and anyone who might know where he is. Okay, now he's listening. She asks, have you ever heard of a mercenary group called Teze? Teze, she explains, is basically the evil-for-hire superstore of this world. Murder, kidnapping, human trafficking, you name the felony, they've got a rewards program for it. And the leader of this charming organization is the very man he's looking for, Sir Kesserak. They only became famous about 5 years ago, but their influence could already dominate a small kingdom. Because of this, she continues, tracking their main base or Kesserak himself has become nearly impossible. But, she exclaims, I'm not so easy to deal with. I've finally found the location of one of Tez's executives. She holds up a wanted poster. This is him. He's characterized by a long scar on his face. He's a brutal assassin who uses the concealing rune and has apparently never failed a mission. Sounds fun. Our boy realizes this is his best shot. An executive has got to know where the boss is hiding. So, where is he now? He asks, already planning the beatdown. Anna leans back, taking a dramatic puff from her pipe. According to my intel, he's probably in the capital, Valhilda City. Specifically, he's paying a little visit to the Merkel Group's base. And by paying a visit, I mean turning the place into a modern art installation made of bodies and blood. A terrified survivor frantically shouts for everyone to run. Yeah, it's a little too late for that, my friend. His comrades get sliced and diced. One of the last remaining thugs is scared out of his wits as he feels the presence of the lone figure. What the heck? He screams, why are you doing this to us? And we finally meet our scar-faced assassin, who calmly replies, well, I also just do as I'm told. Maybe it's because you failed the mission that Sir Kesserak entrusted to you. The thug furiously denies it. That's because you didn't tell us a monstrous bastard was protecting her. Because of you, we lost our chief, Sir Merkel, he bellows. The executive seems totally unconcerned. Ah, I'm sorry. We also didn't think Merkel would be defeated by some frontier mercenary. The survivor screams, to wipe us out because of one failure. Aren't you being too much? Can't you just think of it as punishment? The assassin says coolly. You and I are both low-level killers anyway. The thug can't believe it. What? Punishment? He finally snaps, roaring, go jump off a cliff. He orders the remaining men to attack. Charge, all of you. The leader lunges forward, his hand glowing with power, yelling, the one who dies is you. He unleashes his touch rune, which creates a huge manipulatable hand made of mana. The assassin just stands his ground as a massive wave of energy rushes towards him. Not a care in the world. As the gang members leap down to finish him off, he calmly says, I apologize in advance. Suddenly, a bright light erupts from his position. The light turns blue and all the attackers are frozen midair, their expressions flipping from rage to total confusion. The gang leader, also frozen, looks down in absolute shock. He sees that the Teze executive has completely vanished. Before he can even process it, the assassin appears right behind him. Classic. The thug's final curse is cut short as he's brutally killed, his blood spraying everywhere. Well, that's that. A lone figure surveys the aftermath, asking the scarred assassin, have you taken care of everything? The assassin, drenched in blood, retorts, don't you see I washed it all away with blood? Go check yourself if you don't trust me. The shadowy figure quickly apologizes, but the assassin tells him to get lost now that the job is done. But the man has a new piece of intel. They're investigating Merkel's killer, a mercenary with distinctive black scars. The assassin immediately understands. This is not just gossip, this is his next target. Finished with his business, the informant promises to report to Sir Kesserak and vanishes in a flash. Finally alone, the assassin sighs and lights a cigarette, standing among the bodies of his victims. He mulls over the man with black scars, while elsewhere, our protagonist learns his next destination. With his eyes glowing a furious red, he has one last question. What is this guy's name? The assassin looks off into the distance, muttering that the number of people he has to kill just keeps increasing. And we finally get a name for this professional cleaner. This is Haksa, a high-ranking executive in Teze. Alright, so we jump to a dense forest where two kids are absolutely cornered. They're about to become lunch for a giant worm-like monster that's towering over them. Seriously, look at this thing. It's got a skull for a face, glowing green eyes, and a smile full of daggers. With zero escape plans, the girl is terrified while her friend basically says, "Sorry, I got nothing." The monster roars, opening its mouth wide, ready to swallow them whole. Yum! Yum! But just as it strikes, a flash of red light blasts it right in the side. A mysterious figure in black leaps into the fight, his fist crackling with some serious power. He unleashes a massive beam of energy that completely fries the giant creature. The monster screeches in pain and tries to charge up a counterattack of its own. The two kids can only huddle together as the world explodes around them. Classic bystander behavior. And just like that, it's over. The monster's head goes flying and its body erupts in a shower of gore. The young woman approaches their hooded savior, asking if he's okay. He is, of course. He just tells her the area is crawling with monsters and that they should get out of there. No time for small talk. Overwhelmed, she asks how they can ever repay him, but he just brushes it off like a true edgy hero. But they insist, offering to treat him to a meal at their place nearby. Always a good idea to invite a stranger home. He thinks about it for a second, then agrees. Turns out he was looking for a place anyway. The girl beams, saying they know every shop around. By the way, her name is Orphan. He tells them he's looking for a specific tavern called Blue Knight. Orphan is shocked. "That's our place," she yells, while her friend mutters that nobody goes there. Ouch. She proudly introduces herself as the cook at Blue Knight. Next to her is her little brother, Magat. Naturally, they ask for their hero's name in return. The hood shifts, revealing those familiar glowing red eyes and black scars. "It's Van," he says. Thrilled by this incredible coincidence, Orphan tells him to follow them. They lead him to a huge, secluded building in the woods. "Welcome to the Blue Knight Tavern." As they arrive, a young man named Hazia scolds them for being so late. They apologize, explaining they ran into a bit of monster trouble on the way. Hazia absolutely loses it, asking if they're hurt. Orphan just calmly says they're fine because someone saved them. "He did?" Hazia asks, calming down instantly. Orphan tells him to come say thanks. She introduces Van, explaining that he was by complete chance on his way to their tavern anyway. Hazia is confused, but Orphan just shushes him and tells him to show their guest inside. Inside the cozy but totally empty tavern, they invite Van to take a seat wherever he wants. Van glances around the empty room and asks if they run the place all by themselves. Orphan laughs and says no, they're just crashing here under someone else's roof. Van's eyes narrow. Under someone's roof? Yeah, that sounds a little suspicious. She explains that none of them are related. They're all orphans from different kingdoms. Lily and Ain lost their parents in a war. Hazia's village got wiped out by monsters. And Maggot's family was taken out by a mercenary group. You know, a totally normal childhood. She says they all should be dead, but their uncle brought them here and takes care of them. "Uncle, huh?" Van murmurs to himself. The gears are definitely turning now. Orphan confirms he owns the place and was the first person to ever help them. He's probably asleep upstairs. Sighing, Orphan decides to go wake him up, telling Van to make himself at home. She heads up to an office and starts calling out for her uncle. Time to wake up. She finds him passed out on the bed and yells at him, but he just wants 5 more minutes. Frustrated, she plays her trump card. "We almost died today. That ought to do it." And it works. The man bolts upright, asking if they're hurt. She reassures him, saying someone saved them. She explains that their savior was, what a coincidence, already on his way to their tavern. Realizing he needs to go thank this person properly, the man gets out of bed. He walks downstairs and Orphan points out their guests sitting at the table. He approaches Van's table. "Good day. I heard you saved my kids. I'm truly grateful." The man steps into the light, revealing a scarred face. "In any case," he says, "how interesting." Van stares right back. "You look very much like someone I've been searching for." And there he is. It's Haxa, the Teze executive. His cold, calculating eyes are locked on his target. Van plays it cool. "That seems unlikely. I just run a small shop in the middle of nowhere." "Unpopular, you say?" "Funny, an information broker told me the owner here is a phenomenal cook." Haxa pauses, a little surprised by that. Quite an unexpected source, he admits. Van replies with, "If you don't mind, could I see that skill for myself? The challenge has been made." Haxa tries to deflect, saying the kids make a fuss when he cooks. "Lame excuse, my friend." But Van has a comeback. "If that's your concern, how about we do it early tomorrow morning?" Checkmate. Haxa agrees. At that hour, the kids will be asleep. Smart thinking from our assassin. "Then I'll turn in early today," Van says. Haxa calls it a wise decision. The tension is thick. Haxa tells Orphan to show their guest to a room. She's surprised he warmed up to someone so quickly. "Who knows?" Haxa says with a terrifying smile. "Maybe kindred souls just recognize each other." Later that night, Orphan shows Van to a room for the night. As she's about to leave, Van calls out her name. "Don't thank me," he says coldly. "I didn't do it to save you." Wow, so edgy. But Orphan just smiles. "That's funny. When Uncle Haxa saved me, he said the exact same thing." She wishes him a good night, leaving Van alone to think about that little bombshell. Much later, under the full moon, a silent figure approaches Van's room. It's Haxa, of course, and he's holding a massive, gleaming meat cleaver. He stands over Van's bed, blade raised, looking down at his sleeping guest, or so he thinks. Under the cover of darkness, Haxa brings his massive blade down on his target, but with a sharp thud, the attack is stopped cold, not on his watch. Haxa cannot believe his eyes. His face is pure shock. What just happened? Van's eyes snap open, glowing a furious red. I've been waiting, he says. He glares up at the assassin, growling out the name he was looking for. Haxa, y'all, it's about to go down. Okay, hold that thought. Because elsewhere, Haxa is reporting for his performance review with a mysterious, bandaged superior. The caster, he's in Haxa's tavern right now. His boss, who looks like a mummy that just woke up, is pleased to hear his target is so close. He tells Haxa to summon him immediately. But Haxa's like, whoa there, boss man, let's not spook him. He promises to trap him first, setting the perfect stage. The mummy man agrees to the plan and tells him he'll be waiting. Plan is a go. Alright, back to the action. Van calls Haxa disgusting for pretending to be a guardian while secretly being a killer. Haxa tells him to save the lecture. Surrounded by a blood-red aura, his eyes glowing, Van gets straight to the point. Just tell me where Kesserak is. Oh snap. Haxa is completely floored that Van somehow knows that name. Still, he's a tough nut to crack. He clenches his jaw and refuses to talk. Van just cracks his scarred knuckles. I see that, so let's see if you can still say that after I gut off your limbs one by one. My man went from 0 to 100 real quick. Not one to be outdone, Haxa leaps back, surrounded by his own swirling blue energy. He gives Van one last chance to walk away. Van scoffs, and who was it that just tried to kill me? He's got a point, you know. Realizing Talk no Jutsu has officially failed, Haxa resigns himself. Fine then. He pulls out a paper talisman covered in runes and activates a little something called a formation. The entire room is consumed by a blinding flash of light, engulfing Van completely. When the light show is over, Van finds himself touching down in a completely different place. This place is a cave? Yep, you got teleported, buddy. Welcome to your new home. He's at the bottom of a massive, impossibly deep pit, like a Minecraft chunk error. The only exit is way up. Van recognizes the technique. It's a runecraft formation, which is basically pre-packaged magic you can unleash anytime, like a magical grenade. Looking around the empty cavern, he starts to wonder if Haxa just trapped him and bounced. Suddenly, a massive mana blade slashes through the air right where he was standing. He barely evades the attack, which carves a deep gouge into the cavern wall. Close call. He lands on his feet just as another energy blast streaks towards him, forcing him to block it with his fist. My man is built different. He looks around, completely confused. Haxa's vanished again. Playing hide and seek, are we? A voice warns him, turn your back, as Haxa materializes behind him, swinging a giant energy cleaver. Van ducks just in the nick of time, the blade grazing his head and drawing blood. That was way too close. The attack slams into the ground with explosive force, and once again, Van is all alone. He can't see, hear, or sense any presence. He finally realizes this must be Haxa's special trick. Haxa is using his Concealing Rune, an ability that completely erases his presence to prepare another attack. Talk about a stealth build. Van frantically dodges the invisible attacks, realizing finding his opponent is even harder than avoiding the blows. He narrowly avoids another ground-shattering strike, but even so, his eyes flare with red light, locking onto his target. He's found him. Haxa is shocked as he sees Van's eyes tracking his mana signature perfectly. Looks like your stealth build has been nerfed, dude. Van's scarred hand shoots out, grabbing Haxa right out of thin air. Gotcha. Hiding your body won't help, he says coolly. I can still see your mana. He's using his second manifested armament, the Truth Eye, which can perceive even the faintest mana. It's basically a cheat code. Impossible. Haxa shouts just before Van brutally slams him into the cavern floor. Boom. The impact creates a massive crater, leaving Haxa battered and very defeated. Spitting blood, he admits that in 40 years, Van is only the second person to ever find him using mana alone. Second place is still losing, my friend. When Van demands Kesserak's location again, Haxa tries to deflect by talking about the kids. Van's patience runs out. He grabs Haxa's arm and demands an answer, causing him to scream in pain. He howls like Wi-Fi just went out mid-ranked match. Haxa rambles about being beyond forgiveness, but Van just threatens to rip off his remaining limbs if he doesn't confess. Simple and direct. With grim determination, Haxa declares he can't die until he's protected the children, so let me apologize in advance. He pulls out another formation talisman, much to Van's alarm. His face is pure. Oh, you have got to be kidding me. The talisman explodes with light, summoning a colossal, shadowy, wolf-like beast. Okay, that's a serious upgrade from hide and seek. Suddenly, a figure drops from the ceiling. But Van is completely unfazed. Hey, he says, raising a finger to his lips. Can't you see we're talking? The absolute disrespect. What a Chad. Our new mummy friend lands and starts sizing up the situation. You know, like a final boss entering the arena? He glances at Van's scars and his cornered position. Yup, he thinks, definitely the guy who killed Merkel. Haxa, still bleeding out on the floor, tries to warn his new boss to be careful. He admits Van's power is off the charts, especially since he found him through a cloaking rune. The mummy man just smirks. Wow, impressive for a kid. But Van is having none of it. He just points up at the guy. Hey, you the one who just appeared. Even with a giant shadow wolf staring him down, he just has one question. Will you answer me honestly? Haxa quickly whispers to his boss that Van is looking for someone named Kesserak. The bandage man just scoffs, clearly finding this whole interrogation attempt hilarious. And then it's time for the dramatic unmasking. He rips off his bandages, revealing a bald dude with a weird forehead tattoo. With a massive grin, he shouts, "There isn't a soul who'll answer you here. Meet Burjeton, a top dog in the Teze mercenary group." Van just sighs. As expected, guest talking is off the table. He doesn't waste a second, immediately firing off a massive beam of red energy. Burjeton and the creature just stand there, fully unbothered by our boy's attack. Couldn't care less if they tried. Meanwhile, Van just clenches his fist, red energy crackling around his arm. He's just getting warmed up. The beast roars back, firing off a huge energy blast of its own. It's a classic anime beam struggle. At the same time, Haxa zips in from the side, launching a flying kick with a blade of pure energy. Van's eye glows, tracking the incoming attack with perfect precision. Haxa's kick connects with a massive shockwave that shakes the whole cave. But Van just blocks it with one arm. One arm. The kick barely even grazes his shoulder. Dark red energy explodes from his body as he powers up even more. He turns to the giant shadow beast and warns it, "Blocking me was not a wise choice." Bam! He smashes his fist into the ground and a pillar of light erupts, completely vaporizing the beast from the inside out. As the beast dissolves into nothing, Van is already rocketing forward for his next punch. Burjeton is actually impressed. "Not bad, kid. You're a pretty good sorcerer for your age. But what will you do about this?" he asks, as his hand starts glowing with green energy. And he summons an entire pack of the shadow beasts. Okay, so he's a Minecraft spawner. Turns out his summoning rune lets him pull whatever he needs from his own personal pocket dimension. That seems a little overpowered. But Van is completely unfazed by the horde of monsters surrounding him. His logic is simple. Doesn't matter. I'll just cut them all down. But while he's distracted, Haxa appears right behind him. "You let your guard down." Oof. Haxa's blade pierces straight through Van's legs. That's gotta hurt. The attack explodes, engulfing the entire area in a massive flash of light. In the aftermath, the summoned beasts begin to reform from wisps of shadow. They rise again, a full pack of snarling, three-eyed monsters ready for round 2. Burjeton is stunned. He can't believe Van is still standing after taking that hit. What kind of cheat code is this kid using? From the smoke, Van glares back. "I'm the one asking questions. Better answer while you still can." This just makes Burjeton even more excited. "I like your spirit. I've decided I'm going to recruit you for my assassination squad. But first, I'll remake you into my precious slave." Wow, straight to human trafficking speedrun, huh? He's using the domination rune, a terrifying power that lets him invade someone's mind, wipe their personality, and turn them into a puppet. He lunges forward, grabbing Van's head with his glowing mind control hands. "You'll be reborn anew," he screams, ready to perform a full factory reset on Van's brain. But suddenly, Burjeton finds himself in a vast, blood-red wasteland. What? Where am I? Uh-oh, you messed up, buddy. He's inside Van's mind. And apparently he's done this to countless people before and never ever failed. He was confident that no matter how strong his opponent was, this time would be no different. He was wrong. Because what he didn't realize was the truth about the kid he was trying to brainwash. A boy who wasn't truly living or dead, kept going only by the thought of pure vengeance. For 1,000 long years, trapped in a deep abyss of endless pain and suffering. This is Van's inner world, and it is not a friendly place. It's a world built from an unimaginable amount of suffering. You can practically feel the trauma. The demon's body literally bursts open, revealing a writhing mass of screaming, tortured souls. A grotesque tentacle shoots out and grabs Burjeton, who can only scream in absolute mind-breaking terror. Yeah, it turns out Burjeton was just not equipped to handle this level of psychological horror. Back in the real world, the connection shatters and he recoils with a choked scream, his mind completely broken. Van, still held by Burjeton, just opens his eyes. Hey, isn't it rude to peek so deep into someone else's mind? The sheer coldness in his voice is terrifying. That's not a question, that's an execution notice. The executive is completely shattered, stammering in pure horror. This can't be. With a final, terrified scream of "You monster," Burjeton is completely obliterated by a torrent of crimson energy. And he's gone. And kaboom! Just like that, Burjeton's head goes pop in a shower of gore. Watching from the cheap seats, Haxa is having a full-on meltdown. How could his boy's master-level brainwashing have been so completely nerfed? Meanwhile, the leftover shadow puppies are still circling Van, ready for round 2. but our boy's social battery is completely drained. This is unbearably unpleasant. So he stomps the ground, unleashing a massive shockwave of pure, unfiltered rage. The blast hits the beasts head-on, deleting them from existence in an instant. This wave of force just expands outwards, tearing through everything in its path. The raw power is so immense it travels all the way back to the tavern and completely shatters the magic circle that trapped them. Haxa gets yeeted across by the force of the blast. He crashes to the ground, coughing up blood as he realizes their only escape route is gone. Van glances down at Bergen's corpse. That's already hopeless. Then, he turns that cold, unwavering gaze towards the last man standing. Uh-oh. Terrified, Haxa tries to crawl away, knowing he's next on the chopping block. But there's no escape. Van is on him in a flash, grabbing him by the hair. This is your last chance. Where is Kesserak? Haxa just stays silent, giving the old bloody stink eye of defiance. So Van lets him go, dropping him to the dirt. If you don't want to say it, then don't. With a sinister smile, he raises a hand crackling with dark energy. From now on, I'll make it so you have to speak. Suddenly, a voice screams out, no. And look who it is. It's the kids, rushing in like a tiny underleveled cavalry. Don't kill Master Haxa. Haxa is completely stunned. You guys, what in the world are you doing? Orphan lands in front of him, pleading with Van. Please spare him. Van stands over them, totally unimpressed. I haven't killed him yet. Of course, he might die during the interrogation. His eyes narrow, glowing with malice. So it's better to get lost, because I might kill you first. This guy needs a serious chill pill. Suddenly, a beam of light shoots across the clearing. But it's not from Van. It's little Hazia, who just tackled him, yelling, "Stop it!" Orphan absolutely loses it, screaming her brother's name in terror. The little guy just clings to Van's leg, looking up defiantly. Please just leave us alone. Even Haxa, bloody and beaten, is yelling for them to run away. Van's back is turned, his body glowing like a demonic Christmas tree. Are you joking with me right now? And then he just brutally kicks the boy off his leg. Van coldly says, fine, if you're prepared to die. Orphan can only watch in horror, screaming his name again. Completely enraged, Van roars, I'll kill you all first. Okay, champ, let's breathe. Hazia hits the ground hard, bracing for the worst. But from the shadows, a hand glows with turquoise energy. A voice whispers, summon. Van stops mid-charge, sensing the new power source. It's Bergeton. He was playing possum this whole time and is now using a summoning rune, a forbidden art that opens a gateway to another dimension. And from the portal emerges a colossal tentacle monster. Of course it does. With a roar, Bergeton directs the attack right at Van. Van is caught completely off guard. That jerk. He was alive? Yeah, no kidding, Sherlock. The tentacles shoot forward and impale him from all sides. But as he looks up, he notices something is terribly wrong. The attack wasn't meant for him at all. It was just a distraction. The real targets were the children, who are all impaled by summoned energy blades. Even Hasia realizes the awful, tragic truth in his final moments. The massive tentacle monster dissipates, having served its gruesome purpose. Van is absolutely livid now. He rockets forward, aiming to turn Bergeton into a fine red mist for good. But Bergeton is one step ahead, opening another portal. Too late. I can even put myself in my dimension. And poof, he's gone. Van's attack slices through empty air. Van stands silently for a moment, his hands still glowing with leftover portal energy. Inside his personal pocket dimension, Bergeton breathes a sigh of relief, thinking he's finally safe. He's annoyed that Brat caused so much trouble, but now he can finally report back to Kesserak. He turns to leave, but stops dead in his tracks. His blood runs cold. This can't be. How? A terrifying, shadowy version of Van looms over him. How did you enter my dimension? Turns out a tiny sliver of the dimensional passageway was still open. Just before it closed, Van injected his own magic and tore his way inside. He glares at Bergeton, his voice dripping with menace. You should have locked the door properly. I am sick of dimensions, you know. He tightens his grip on Bergeton's head, dark energy corrupting his very flesh. Don't worry, Van says, his own face seeming to warp. I don't intend to kill you yet. Since you killed Haxa, I have many things to ask you. He lets go, leaving the executive trembling on the rock. I'll take you out again in about a month. Just hold on for a bit. Then Van summons his third cursed tool, Gluttony's Pocket, a horrifying entity that just devours living creatures. A monstrous maw filled with eyes and teeth materializes behind him, lunging straight for Bergeton. Bergeton screams, begging for his life as he's dragged towards the monster, but it's too late. He pleads not to go back to Van's nightmarish inner world as tentacles pull him into the abyss. The pocket snaps shut, consuming him completely into a vortex of nightmare fuel. In his place, a grotesque, multi-eyed head sprouts from Van's neck. Artist, what is this body horror you've created? Back in the real world, Van reappears in a flash of green light. He stumbles, realizing that using Gluttony's Pocket consumes a massive amount of magic power, making it incredibly risky for him right now. The effort is just too much. Van collapses to the ground. He can only gasp for breath, totally spent from the battle. Lying in a pool of his own blood, surrounded by the kids he failed to protect, Haxa's last thoughts are a desperate question. Did everyone die? Meanwhile, Van begins to stir, his one-track mind already back on his mission. He's already thinking, first, I need to get out of here and recover my magic power. But he stops short. Wait, Haxa pleads. Suddenly, a weak voice cuts through the silence, pleading, Orphan can still be saved. It's Haxa, somehow still alive, screaming with his last ounce of strength, please, just save her. Van turns, his face shadowed and his glowing red eye completely devoid of any emotion. But we'll get back to Van's ice-cold stare in a second, because in the dead of night, a new cleanup crew arrives at the massacre site. They take one look at the carnage, and yeah, it's pretty obvious someone had a really bad day here. One of them points out that Bergetten's arm was completely ripped off. I mean, who in their right mind kills two Teze executives? You'd have to be insane. Rabinu turns to his partner. Mongo, can you sniff out our culprit? Mongo confirms the scent is weak, but it's there. Apparently, our boy Van was here just yesterday. Rabinu tells his minions to report back to Lord Ketharak immediately. He and Mongo are going hunting. They all reply with a very dramatic, yes. Standing over Haxa's body, Rabinu gets all philosophical. Scholar, was this really the end you wanted? He scoffs, calling his old buddy's death pathetic and worthless. Man, these villains have zero chill. Meanwhile, in a totally different location, Orphan wakes up with a blood-curdling scream. You're finally awake, a voice says. And look who it is. Van just chilling in a cave like it's his living room. She immediately panics. Mr. Scholar, what about the kids? Where is everyone? Van's reply has all the warmth of a freezer. Everyone except you died instantly. Orphan just freezes, completely unable to compute what he just said. No, 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 she screams. And get this, she's crying tears of blood. You must have seen wrong. Artist, are we sure this isn't a little extra? She tries to scramble to her feet, convinced she can still go save them all. Stop it, Van says with zero sympathy. I already buried the kids' bodies myself. And just like that, her last sliver of hope is completely crushed. She just collapses. She pounds the ground, screaming at him. Why? Why did you only save me? You should have just let me die with them. Why did you do it? Van clenches his fist. Don't get it twisted. I only saved you because I needed you. And cue the flashback. We see a dying Haxa explaining his logic to Van. Orphan knows about Ketharak and Teze. She can give you the info you need. And for the first time, Van actually looks a little surprised by this new loot drop. Haxa begs him, please take her somewhere safe. She's strong, she'll survive. But Van, ever the pragmatist, asks, and what if she knows nothing about Ketharak? Then do whatever you want, Haxa whispers. Kill her or spare her, it's up to you. Convinced this isn't a trick, Van agrees. Fine, I'll let her live. With his final breath, Haxa gasps out, you must save her. Back in the present, Orphan is still a complete mess on the floor. Van's patience runs out. He grabs her. Sorry, but I can't wait. Tell me about Ketharak. Now. She tells him Ketharak is probably hiding out in the Barkan Kingdom. She'd overheard Haxa saying he was heading there for a job from the king. Van demands to know what the guy looks like. He's clearly ready to get to business. Orphan explains his appearance was always changing, probably because of his emblem magic. She doesn't know the details, but Haxa once said Ketharak was born with 3 different types of emblem magic. That kind of power is ridiculously rare. We're talking only a handful of people on the whole continent rare. 3, huh? Van thinks. That could be a problem. Yeah, thanks, Sherlock. He tells her to get up. No time to waste. You can tell me the rest on the way. She asks where they're going, and he explains, I promised the scholar I'd get you to a village. Consider it payment for the info. Orphan is just stunned. Probably the first decent thing anyone's done for her in a while. We're leaving now, so get up. And she just numbly agrees. What else can she do? They walk out of the dark, depressing cave and into the blinding daylight. Orphan shields her eyes, blinking away the sun and probably some more blood tears. They emerge into a quiet clearing in the middle of the forest. And right in front of them is a massive, solitary pillar of stone. I told you, I buried them. They're all under this stone. He explains the giant rock will keep grave robbers or monsters from digging them up. A surprisingly thoughtful move. The children didn't do anything wrong. That's all. Whoa, is that empathy from our boy Van? He even gives her a moment. I'll let you say your final goodbyes. Go on. She slowly walks towards the colossal tombstone. She rests her hand on the cold stone, and the full weight of her loss finally crashes down on her. Fresh tears stream down her face as she grieves for the only family she ever knew. We get a flashback to when Ketharak caught Haxa. He threatened to slaughter the kids to bring back the old, ruthless assassin. Haxa begged for their lives. Ketharak agreed, but basically turned him into a slave. Later, we see a battered Haxa apologizing to a worried Orphan for looking so pathetic. He pulls all the kids into a hug, promising he'd always protect them no matter what. And even though he's beaten and bruised, he's smiling. He's genuinely happy just being with them. She remembers all the good times. Haxa proudly showing off their tavern, the Blue Knight, and the kids making fun of the name. She remembers the feeling of safety, the warmth of having a real family. Back in the present, that grief twists into pure, unfiltered rage. She turns to Van. Are you going to kill Ketharak? He confirms it. Once he has what he needs, Ketharak is history. Her eyes are burning with hatred. In that case, take me with you. I'll grind that jerk into dust myself. Van glances back at her. And there it is, folks. The revenge arc has officially been unlocked. But that tender moment is about to be interrupted. The pursuers are closing in. Mongo takes a deep sniff. Ah, the scent is much stronger. He was here just a few hours ago. They arrive at the grave. Right here, Mongo says. The smell is very strong. Rabinu just grins. That's good news. Surrounded by a nasty purple aura, he declares, whoever he is, we'll be meeting him very soon. Meanwhile, in a mansion that looks like it was ripped straight from a vampire movie, a subordinate is on his way to report in. He arrives at some comically large doors and gives a firm knock. Time for a progress update with the boss. Inside, he calls out to a lone figure in a ridiculously vast hall. I will report immediately, Lord Ketharak. Ketharak, just lounging around like he owns the place, already knows what's up. I know that Merkel has failed. He goes on a whole monologue about raising that back alley trash, only for it to end in such an unbeautiful way. He gives a new order. Mongo and Tomoto are to find the culprit, but hold their position. No attacking. Then he stands up, surrounded by a huge burst of green energy. He says this is a crucial moment and he can't afford any more unexpected plot twists. His subordinate, Surfer, asks if he should step in personally. Ketharak immediately shuts that idea down. Not his turn yet. For now, I will head to the Barkan Kingdom, he declares, basically telling Surfer to handle all the boring paperwork. Surfer, being the perfect employee, just kneels and accepts. I will keep that in mind. Good boy. Cut to a massive, gloomy castle high up in some snowy mountains. This must be the Barkan Kingdom. Inside, an attendant greets Lord Ketharak, who wastes no time asking to see the king. He's a busy man, you know. The attendant says the king is waiting and leads him down a long, dramatic corridor. Of course it's dramatic. Ketharak enters the throne room, ready for his business meeting. He enters, apologizing to the king for being late, while a whole army of guards just watches. Nothing suspicious here. The king of Barkan just laughs. It's fine. More importantly, did you do the thing I paid you to do? Of course, Ketharak replies. All the core sorcerers of the Aran Kingdom are gone. You can relax. And yep, there's the proof. Yikes. As Ketharak bows, the king starts talking about the payment, but then he pauses. However, that's never a good word. A problem seems to have arisen. Oh, here we go. It's betrayal o'clock, my friends. He lays out a super obvious threat, talking about Ketharak's bad reputation and how terrible it would be if word got out. The thought alone gives him a headache, he says, gesturing to the hall now packed with soldiers ready to jump him. So subtle. The doors slam shut. Ketharak finally gets the hint. Are you saying you mean to wipe me out? Took you long enough, buddy? The king grins like a villain from a cartoon. From the start, there was never any payment. Apparently, he spent all the money on interior decorating. Hearing this, Ketharak starts to tremble. But it's not fear, folks. It's a low, creepy chuckle. That little chuckle explodes into a full-blown maniacal laugh that echoes through the entire throne room. The king is completely baffled. Have you gone mad after seeing death before your eyes? Bro, I think you're the one in danger. Ketharak, now glowing green, admits he got complacent. He figures with a king this tacky, the treasury was probably empty anyway. But I'll say it now, the king sneers, getting his confidence back. Resistance is useless. He starts boasting about all the forces he's gathered for this little trap. The kingdom's 30 greatest sorcerers are here, ready to go. And on top of that, he brought in every single soldier stationed at the royal palace. Yeah, they've got him completely surrounded. This king really thinks he's won. He scoffs at Ketharak's silence. Are you playing games with me right now? Famous last words. Ketharak just glances up, his eyes glowing. Huh? Suddenly, a strange and powerful light shines down on the castle from way up in the sky. And there it is. A colossal, terrifying stone god with a crazy grin materializes, dwarfing the entire mountain. What in the world is that thing? Back in the throne room, an immense blast of blinding light erupts directly from Ketharak. Boom. The king's body is instantly disintegrated by the sheer power. He never even saw it coming. See ya. His elite sorcerers and knights are completely vaporized in the same exact moment. All that boasting for nothing. What an absolute wipeout. That's a wrap on this recap. Hit that subscribe button to help us keep pumping out awesome content. Catch you in the next one.